Okay, before we continue, let's take a look at the main package we're going to use called TM for text mining in R. And this is the author of the text mining package. I guess there are a couple authors, but he's probably the main author. And he wrote something also, I guess a longer piece about this here. We might look at that, but I think this might be enough. Yeah, this one was published here, this date. Okay, and these are called vignettes, and usually you can find them for many of the packages in R. So first of all, we have to think about how to import the data that we're going to be text mining. And it's a little bit complicated, but he goes through a bunch of stuff. He says there's volatile corpus, and he explains that. And you use by the way, corpus, I don't know if we explained this yet or not, but corpus represents the entire collection of the text documents that you're going to be analyzing. And he says that these are held, our corpora are objects held fully in the memory. So the whole, however big it is, it's going to be held in memory. I guess in order to analyze it, it has to keep it in memory. So it's not just on your hard disk, but it's occupying memory, which of course is much more limited than the hard disk. And he explains why they call it volatile, since once the R object is destroyed, the whole corpus is gone. So I guess I don't know what they mean by the R object, if they mean the whole R program. So once you shut down R, or I guess just wherever the corpus is, once you let it go, it's gone. Anyway, it doesn't stay in memory. And they say they have another one called P corpus, which permanent corpus, and then that does stay on the hard drive. So even when you close down R, it's still there, I guess is the idea. Now he uses a programming word called the Corpus Constructor, which this is called a constructor. Basically, it's just a function for us, okay, to create a corpus. And when you do it, you need to write it like this. And so this X is the location of the corpus, the location of all the documents. So you need that. And they can be a directory, and then you'll use this thing in your when you write the function, when you call the function. Or they can just be a string, in which case it's like a vector. Or it could be a data frame. So these handle a directory, a vector, interpreting each component as a document. So, you might have a vector of sentences. So each sentence would be thought of as a separate document. You might have a vector of tweets, people's tweets, maybe 100 different tweets, all stored in one vector. So each element would be considered as a separate document if you use this. Can't seem to select these things. Anyway, if you use that. So when you create this corpus, you need that. You need this the address to the documents, and you need something called the reader control. And in there, you're going to use what's called, you specify a reader, like just reading plain text. I forget what this one is. Reading like Reuters text, reading PDFs, reading documents. So we'll use some of these. And he says if it's a permanent corpus, you need a third argument called DB control, which I think is where it's stored, basically. Alright, let's take a look at this and see how this works. So when you install this TM package, it will probably install some sample files for you, and basically be located C, users, your name, my documents are, Win Library 3.0 TM, text, txt. So it will store these files there, these text files. So if you want to just look at them, they look like this. This is some Latin that's there. So it's just some, I don't know, maybe poem or something like that. And there's another one like that, and so on. So these get installed. And there's a function called system.file, and you indicate the package, and you indicate the files you're looking for, and it gives you the path to them. So our first code is here, so we use that to find the path to these here txt files, these files here. So we use that like this, and you put it in, and then if you want to see the result, you type that, and it gives you and so this is what I called, and stored in txt now, is the path to those files here. So that's the first thing we do. And the next thing we do is we create this corpus using this function that we were just talking about called corpus. And in there we use, as they said, we use this because it's not a vector, it's a directory. So we tell it the name of the we tell it the path of the directory, which is here. And this is like the encoding. I guess you have to tell it that as well. And you also give it a reader control, which is the language. So this language is Latin. So the short for that is LAT. So you have to do something like this as well. Okay, and then when you do this, you get this result. It says a corpus with 5 text documents, just to confirm that you got it. So when I run it, it says a corpus with 5 text documents. By the way, when you put these parentheses, normally we wouldn't have a parentheses here or at the end. When you do that, that tells R to, I think it means to print it actually. Right, if you don't do that, it doesn't print out a corpus of 5 text. But if you do, so if I do print Ovid, this was stored in Ovid, who's the name of the author, by the way, the Latin, the Roman, I guess, I don't know, poet maybe. Anyway, if I do that, so putting the parentheses around it like they did up here is the same thing as saying print after you store it. So it does store it, and then it prints it. Okay. He also gives us an example where we use a vector source. So, for example, you have a vector like this. So maybe 2 tweets like that. You store it in this variable there, and you do this corpus and vector source and just the name of the vector. You don't have to do all that other stuff, I guess. And then it gives you the result as well. Okay, and then there's also some Reuters documents that they have, by the way. If you want to, let's see, where is that located? Let me find the path to that. And then if I type this, I'll get the path. Okay, so that's the path to these. Let's in fact, let's look at those. So here they are, and so what do these look like? These are XML documents. So they're like this. So they have these XML tags here, right? So we have a bunch of them. So here's something. Texaco Canada said it lowered the contract price it will pay for crude oil, 64 Canadian cents a barrel effective today, or something like that, or maybe Canadian dollars. I don't know what that is. Must be dollars. Anyway, and a bunch of this other stuff as well. Okay, so that's what this directory contains. So here we get the path to the directory, and this is a text crude in the package there. And then we use directory source again, but this time we're using what's stored in this path here. And reader control is this one. So this is like a default reader with XML. Now when I tried this the first time, it complained it didn't have the XML package. So I had to go back and install the XML package. You know, just the way you install any package. I looked for XML and I installed it, and then this worked. Okay, so if I do it here, well, if I do it there, it's just going to read it. Okay, so I just did it. And if I type in Reuters, it says a corpus with 20 text documents. Okay, so that's how to import the data, which is a little bit tricky, isn't it? But anyway, that's how to import the data. So next we'll talk about exporting it, but much more. Just this is all you do to export it, actually. But we'll talk about inspecting the data once you've imported it into the so-called corpora.